I will. But first, let me just say to everybody, welcome to the episode 7 live hangout. And we have a very special guest today, Mr. Joe LoDuca, our composer. Joe LoDuca.
I hear 2 applause. Applause.
Yes.
3 applause.
Joe, this shall live on our YouTube channel. That's Gerald playing the. You got to mute the Facebook page, Gerald. Otherwise, you're going to hear a delay.
I didn't play it yet, darling. I'm not playing it.
Oh, you're not? Oh, okay, great. So, just going to say, Joe, what's fun about this is it will live.
No, I didn't turn it on yet.
Okay, can you hear me? This will live on our YouTube page, and it will also live on our channel on YouTube, but also Facebook. Oh, a phone call live. Let me just handle it. Say goodbye. Okay. I'm on a live Google Hangout right now, so I'm going to call you back when this Hangout's over. I'm on a live Google Hangout right now, so I'm going to call you back when it's over. Okay? I'm going to call you later when I'm done, okay? Bye. That's the fun thing about a Hangout. You can bring other people into the experience. So I invited David Ebner to join us. We'll see if he does. That would be great. And we may actually have one cast member. I just found out, Casey Campbell, who plays Milo Beck. He may join us on the Hangout as well.
Oh.
Wouldn't that be nice? So you'd like me to put my earbuds in? Is that right? Would you like that, Cheryl?
Yeah, I really would, Eric.
Okay,
I really
I'll
would.
put my earbuds in. Here we go. Putting the earbuds in.
Yes.
Stand by.
And Joe, if you have any earbuds, that would be great.
I should have known in advance because I can't really put that together right now. I'm sorry.
Joe, you're fine.
Okay.
Okay, no worries. Eric's office is very
Echoing?
a lot of echoing in Eric's office. He doesn't realize it.
You won't have that problem with Joe's.
Yes.
Joe's in a musical sound booth room, so he's going to have a deadened room.
Somewhat.
I'm in an echo chamber. Here we go. Did
I
that
know
help
I'm
a
not
little
having
bit?
a problem with Joe.
So is that better now that I do this?
Oh yes.
Oh yes, she says.
Yes, it
thank you.
is.
Good. Well, we're waiting to see if we have any responses in the comment section. Gerald does a great job of monitoring this, and I see people already showing up. Gerald, will you monitor the Facebook?
Nyari's here. Hi, Nyari.
Is she there?
Yep, I'm here.
Okay.
Hi.
So yeah, what's going on? Is anybody asking any questions? I think Renee watched episode 7. Gerald.
Nyari's here, and Scooty is here.
Nice.
Rose is here.
Cool. Any questions
hear me?
from anybody? Yeah. Any questions?
Not yet. Why don't you ask Joe some questions about the music, our musical journey today?
First of all, I love, of course, anyone else to ask questions out there, especially Renee. Renee just watched episode 7. Renee, I hope you enjoyed it. Please post a comment to let us know what questions you might have for Joe. I'm trying to see who else we got. Nayari, what did you say? Looks live to me. What's up, everyone? Hello, Nayari. At a certain point, we might invite our 2 big influencers there onto our chat, Joe. We do that sometimes. We actually invite them in, which is kind of fun. Then they pop up, and you can see them as well. So, Joe, just for everyone's edification just watching, tell everyone a little bit about, you can tell us a little bit about how you approached the music for 10,000 Days, and especially how you came up with that beautiful opening piece, the intro.
Well, the great thing about 10,000 Days, as you remember, Eric, is we had a lot of time to digest what it might be.
Yes,
there were a lot of conversations that took place over many, many months before we even saw what you were going to create on. Should I tell them it was created on a stage, or should we?
Yeah, we can tell.
I mean, before you went to the North Pole to shoot.
Right.
I'm sorry. Before you went to the North Pole to shoot this. So I had a lot of time to kind of let the idea for the story seep in, and which was great because what we thought we might want to do is, even though there were times that we wanted to say hit the epic button on the music, we didn't really want to do it in a conventional way. So I had a lot of time to sort of develop sounds for the score. The big thing was the sound of sort of the frozen orchestra, which was taking sounds that might sound orchestral or choral or like brass, but freezing them, using various ways to manipulate the sounds so that they did kind of have an icy quality to them. A lot of the percussion sounds were created inside of a piano and then manipulated. So they were steely and icy, and everything kind of went around that theme. There's not a lot of warm fuzzy in this score. And I won't give away what is to come, but even in moments where you think it might go that way, it doesn't necessarily in the music. So that was the big thing, to create a world that sounded like what you're seeing.
You know, that's interesting, Joe. We had a comment here from Nayari, who loved episode 7, is thrilled that you're on today, and she said she loves the music because it's always high energy and intense instead of foreboding and dark. And I like that distinction she's making. It's intense without just being dark and foreboding. You know, you created that pressure cooker with the music, and it's interesting. You also stayed away from using strings a lot, almost entirely. You know, not strings being the guitar, but like violins.
Right, you know, and even when they're in there, they're disguised in such a way they don't really sound like that.
Exactly.
So you could still get the size, and I think the other thing is that because we're engaging in things like this clan tribal conflict, that there's a lot of big drummings and energy in the percussion that kind of reflected that. And I don't know why the Frozen Wasteland felt Asian to me, but it sort of did. So I went for those really, really big taiko drums for action sequences.
Exactly. We had another comment here, and this is from Gerda in Austria.
Oh.
And yeah, well, Gerda says, greetings from Austria, Europe. Joe LoDuca, does that mean you drew on physical aspects of the scenario rather than emotional aspects?
Well, I think it isn't an either-or situation. I think one influenced the other. I think that the setting of the story dictated or suggested a palette of sounds to use. I mean, when you're a composer, you want to start out with your palette. What am I going to use? What am I not going to use? That's just as important question. And then, how can I use those sounds to cover all the emotional bases that the story has? I mean, there are certainly some warm moments that happen inside, and there are certainly warm feelings, and there's love exchanged within the family, but it isn't always expressed in a conventional way. Without, for example, we talked about violins, we talked about guitars, we talked about flutes.
Exactly.
So it's a good question, Gerda. It's a very good question.
Yeah, that was an interesting question, and also there was a mention here. Let's see here. There's one other mention. Someone said something very interesting. Like, yeah, I love music. A lot of love the musics, of course. Let's see. So I read the emotional aspects. We got that. There was someone else had an interesting comment. Hold hold on, I'm going to find it. I'm going to find it. Oh, goodness. There was something really interesting. Somebody commented on your description of a frozen orchestra. That was Nayari. She loved that idea that you came up with the concept of a frozen orchestra. Fantastic.
Well, that was the unique challenge. What does that even sound like? I don't know, but it was fun going on that journey.
Absolutely. We have a question that's not music related. And Gerald, jump in any time to throw out a question someone poses, just so I don't have to read all of them because my brain is starting to. I'm trying to track them all here. Someone asked, did the actors have to go through any training or hiking in preparation for what they did in the picture? And no, there was no practicing for anything. We didn't have the schedule for that. So they learned how to move quickly on what turned out to be a fairly treacherous terrain. We had an ice scape which was all built out of risers, and it had plywood on it and carpet and then snow blankets and then snow on top of it, which made it really slippery. So they would be running on this surface and trying not to slip and kill themselves. And there was a Steadicam operator who was holding the camera and running alongside them, trying not to fall as well. It was not easy. By the way, can you guys hear me okay? Because I know my image disappeared.
We hear you fine, and I just want to add that I recall that the day I visited the set, it was 95 degrees outside.
Oh yeah, that was a lot of fun. It was 95 degrees outside, and everybody's inside wearing all this stuff, desperately trying not to look like they're sweating to death. Joe, what else we got? You wanna throw any out at me?
Well, I can play for you.
Hold on. Well, Nayari says thanks for asking her question, Joe.
Oh, good. And by the way, here's Dave Ebner. Dave Ebner, welcome to our live hangout. You got to take your mute button off, Dave.
You got a mute button on.
There's a mute button on you. You click on your picture, and then you're going to see this thing that says mute, and then unmute it.
Hey, Joe.
Bingo.
Hi, Dave.
Hey, how you doing?
Great.
Oh, yeah.
I don't know, who's this?
Music guy. I'm going to run and get my earphones in, if that'll help cut down on the sound feedback, right?
Yeah, if you have earbuds.
Yeah, I'll be right back. Just a second.
Yeah.
Thank you, David. Thank you very much.
He's earning points. Look at him. He's got something up on his screen behind us. He's doing visual effects. Dave's working. So
hey,
David, for everybody
Eric,
that just joined us.
Eric, Gerda had a question. Eric?
Yes, Gerda, what do you got?
Am I muted?
What you got?
Eric, Gerda had a general question.
Okay.
Gerda had a great. She said, did any of the cast and crew bring to the table experience with glaciers?
Nobody brought any experience that had anything to do with glaciers. No, nothing. I had to inject that into their minds. Joe, your picture's frozen and your words are.
I'm moving.
Well, did you?
I just moved.
Did you have experience on a glacier?
Did I? You're asking me, right? No, I had no experience on a glacier. I mean, that's the crazy. I looked at glaciers.
Are you talking to me, Joe?
Are you talking to Joe? Okay, Joe. Do you have experience?
No, I've never been near a glacier.
How crazy is that? All these people that work on these things.
I've been to the Matterhorn in the summer, and there was very little snow and ice.
Well, what about Ebner? Ebner, you have any experience on glaciers?
Am I the only one here who's been on a glacier?
Well, no, hang on, Dave Ebner.
I've been on one, yeah, of course.
Dave Ebner, who did all the visual effects, he better have had a little experience with glaciers because he painted them all and made them all.
Yeah, I was on Mount Rainier, and I took two of my brothers from the parking lot area, and we took an afternoon hike upwards, and everyone up there was fully decked out, and they had their ladders with them to cross the glaciers and stuff, and I was keeping my eye on the sky, you know, in case it was the weather was going to change, but after about 4 or 5 hours, these guys said, "What the hell are you doing here? You're in shorts. You know, it could change on you any minute."
Oh my God, you went with shorts?
Yeah, it was a beautiful day though. But anyway, so we finished up the day hike and we were back in the motorhome on our way somewhere else. And the following day they had an avalanche and people died on that mountain.
Oh.
Wow. So you dodged a bullet.
Yeah, we dodged a bullet. Yeah.
Oh my God. Yeah, well, that's what happens, right? I mean, glaciers are dangerous.
Yeah, and these guys were all training for like an Everest cut type of thing, you know. But we were just there casually hiking all around.
Yeah, you know, Dave, quick question for everyone here that may be interested in visual effects. I mean, when you created the big ice-scapes, you know, the overhead shots when they were hiking to the other village, and also creating the view that Remy has when he's looking out over the northern clan and it's decimated. What did you draw on to create those images and any ice-scapes like that? Any particular images in your head or places you'd been?
Yeah, there's a lot of it was reference photos from just various places all over the world, and some of them I got from a map painter who we worked with on Sky Captain and the World of Tomorrow, and we did an ice snow sequence in that movie, and so we already had a lot of materials, photographic materials.
That helps a lot. And did you find the artists that you brought in? I know we did a pretty complex shot in a scene that's coming up that folks haven't seen the episode yet, where they kind of go after they're going to go after the kids, and you brought someone in specifically for that one shot where you actually created a shot looking past William and David Ruiz, and we see the guys running down the glacier, and you've got pieces falling. And that was a pretty complex one. I mean, a lot of those pieces of, especially how ice breaks and falls, making that work, you know, with pure animation versus any real footage, was that particularly challenging?
Yeah, and actually we did use some practical pieces falling as the live action elements. So those are shot.
And tell them where you got those. Yeah, tell them how you created those, where you got those.
Well, we shot some of them at the stage. There was one afternoon where we got a lot of material and shot elements on the green screen there. So some of it we just shot using your crew that was already there. We just organized them and shot on a 7D Canon camera and then put them in the movie.
I love that. It's like the B shot. The B shot. Oh, my glasses are getting crooked. Here, let me do this. I lost this side of the glasses. Where is it?
Oh yeah, that happens all the time.
There we go. Isn't that nice? Look at that. Look at that. Lost that yesterday. Hey, I don't need those. I was going to say, you know, we had the one sequence where I wanted the one B in the greenhouse flying by.
Oh yeah, that's right. Yeah.
And David said, well, go get me a shot of a bee. So I went to my brother's house because he has. You know, he has bees. He's got he actually has some hives. So I went there and the bees were active, and I had my camera. I think I used my iPhone.
Oh, really?
I used my iPhone and I shot some bees flying around. I sent it to David. He took it and he pulled a mat and put it in the scene.
Yeah.
That's how easy it is, folks. So we should talk a little bit, you know, about you know, visual effects and music and how they work together. And what's interesting is, Joe, you were creating music in some cases before you saw any visual effects or any finished shots at all, but you knew what was happening, you knew the intention. You had a little taste of it from the sizzle reel or the trailer that we created, I think, but not much. There's a little bit going on there, and how, you know, for you imagining this world, but there were some sequences where, you know, there was a lot going on that you weren't going to see for a while, like the climactic episode 11, where we had a lot going on, and you had to create this wonderful energy and this wonderful piece to accompany a rundown where they're running through this down the mountain to save the kids. And I'm trying to remember, did we have any effects in there at all when you wrote that?
There were some. As far as that sequence goes, and as far as just the practice of not having a lot of visual effects and still needing to get to the finish line about the same time the effects do.
Yeah.
You kind of get used to that. I think usually, for me, it's, okay, how's the music going to survive the sound effects when you have the plane skidding across the ice and everything happening at once? What registers can I possibly focus on so that the listener is going to actually be able to hear what's going on at the end of the day? That is a more complex problem than imagining the visual effects, usually, for me. I think the most striking element for me was, when it came in, was the whole sequence inside when they fall through the surface and
don't tell them too much, because they've only seen episode 7. They've seen episode 7, which is through the fight, and nothing's happened yet on the jet with the kids. So don't reveal too much of that.
No. I'm referring to just the discovery.
Oh, good. Okay, right. When it drops.
That whole sort of mysterious situation.
Oh, yeah.
Gotcha. Okay, gotcha.
When it's in the ice.
I didn't see that. That was one of the things that I didn't see a whole lot of, and so that was an interesting thing of setting the mood, because it's quite a long sequence, and
yeah, it is.
We didn't really see it. But I think our shorthand, as I recall, Eric, is the finding of the ship was basically, the monolith from 2001 is kind of, we wanted to create that kind of a feeling.
Right. Exactly right. David, you had to create an entire cavern, that did not exist, and in some cases we put some rocks and set pieces in there and ice pieces that actually ended up working against us, as I remember, and we learned a lot about what maybe not to do next time around. Like maybe don't put what looks like chunks of ice on the floor and have actors walk behind them. Especially if those pieces are hard to integrate into a floor that you're creating purely CG.
Oh yeah.
Remember that? And then also it's like, oh my goodness, how do we get rid of this thing? You should have just shot that without anything on the floor at all. But you learn these things first time around sometimes. When you think something's going to work out, and it's just more complex than you imagine, and your time. Looking forward to season 2. If we're fortunate enough to have a season 2, I say, well, the challenge is same budget and trying to be really smart about how we shoot, and that's something we're gonna look at and revisit. Is how to learn and from what we did and learn that we're going to have to be on a tighter post schedule, and also not take as long to do the visual effects, because we're just not going to have the time. Joe has to deal with this all the time. Here's the locked picture. Go do the music and be done. And what do you get, Joe, on like a Leverage or Spartacus time wise?
Yeah, usually it's not enough time, but what usually saves me is the visual effects always take longer, no matter how long I take. So I usually am redeemed.
Exactly.
They go late.
I think there's probably, I suppose it's easier for a producer to describe how to modify a visual effect or what they're looking for than it is to talk about music, which is probably a little bit more abstract. You can say, gee, I don't think the ice is integrating with the floor, but it's harder to say, gee, I need 5% more dread and 7% more
rumble.
fear, and
That's the truth. Well, see, so basically, visual effects and the score, you guys you help each other. So visual effects might take a little longer, and buys the composer a little more time to get his work done. I never thought about that. That's nice. Perfect.
A long time ago, we were doing this piece, and there was a big black jaguar in it, and it jumped and landed on something, and 3 times we sent it, and we thought we were over animating it, because they kept making, we want it bigger, so we were animating it so much that it was starting to get ridiculous to us. So we So we're like, okay, what are we going to do next? I know. Let's just put some sound on it and send it to them.
Oh, gosh.
As soon as we put just temp sound on it with a growl, they're like, that's it! And we didn't even change the animation.
I love it. Joe, they went into the world of sound to fix.
But it shows you just how much the
Eric,
sound...
can I ask a question from the group?
There you go.
You can. Go for it, Gerald. Gerald? We lost Gerald.
James wants to know
Joe, you're
exactly
good.
what software.
Joe.
No, I'm here. I'm here.
Okay. James wants to know what software is used to create the effects.
Guys.
Is that it? I know, but we didn't hear it. We can't hear
Yes.
you. You drop in and out. You're in and out sometimes. So James asked, "Can I ask what software is used to create the effects?" Dave, go for it.
Well, is it sound effects or visual effects?
Visual effects.
Ah, software. Okay.
A lot. Different
Yeah,
ones.
what did we not use? Let's see. Well, we used Maya, Nuke, Digital Fusion, 3D Studio Max, and
ZBrush. What was that one you told me about?
ZBrush we used. Those are the main ones.
And give them an example of a little, just briefly, what each one does.
Too.
But yeah, tell them what each one does. Like, just give an example of a shot. Like, for instance, let's talk about the shot with Remy in episode 7. He leaps, with the boy toward a ledge that we see below, hoping to land on it, but we're not sure if he's going to or not. And that's our kind of cliffhanger moment.
Oh yeah.
For episode 7. I mean, that was literally, we shot that looking off a condor, looking down. We saw a little piece of the rail and the guy's hands, and he's just hanging off a cable with the boy, and that was it. There's nothing below except green. So talk a little bit about what you used to create that.
Yeah, so in a case like that, we have to, the camera is moving, so you have to create a structure that's in three-dimensional space, because you can't just do a simple painting and put it in the shot, because a painting is only seen from one view. So being that this particular sequence requires 3D geometry, what you need to do is use software to replicate the camera motion that you used when you shot your live action elements. So that's the first step, is to build an environment and replicate the camera. So now you're working in a three-dimensional, basically you're making a three-dimensional photography set or a movie set, Then what you'd have to do is model what that set looks like. So that's when we use tools like Maya or Max or XXI. And what we do is we model the landscape in a case like that. Then when you're applying texture to that landscape, then you can start using Photoshop, which pretty much everyone knows what that is. But what you have to do is you have to make the layers in Photoshop, and then you apply those layers in your 3D software while you're doing the texturing stage. And then you start to use Maya for lighting and rendering. And after that, the software package that you use is compositing, which is then sandwiching the live action components with the 3D components. And then you can have control over color, temperature, softness, grain, all these kind of things. So the compositing is where you sandwich together, just like in music. It's you go out and record all the different individual elements, but then you mix it all together. So our mixing is the compositing.
Sounds like a lot of work.
It sounds like an enormous amount of work.
Sure.
That's an excellent explanation. I mean, we watch the different stages as they come in. We get various stages of that. So that's the fun part for us too. We'll see it in pieces. David will reveal things in pieces to us, and we're going to end up releasing a behind-the-scenes episode that deals with just visual effects, and David talks specifically about it for a few shots, and he kind of layers out the shots as they're created with the different stages until he gets the final product, and that's really interesting episode that we'll end up putting out. We got to do an episode on you too, Joe. We're going to have to do a one on music, which will be a lot of fun. So I see Gerald's got a question here. Gerald, you want to read that question? Because I don't have my glasses on. Sorry. They're not working. Why don't you read that one question, Gerald, and then I'll answer it.
Mayari, Eric, I'm not sure.
Gerald, can you hear us?
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yeah, I hear you now. Go ahead, Gerald. I hear you. Yeah,
No,
I'm good.
can't
You're
hear.
going to read this question to us real
No.
quick, if you wouldn't mind.
Vaguely. On Eric, good. Okay, Nayari asks, Eric, I'm not sure how to word this, but what was your goal in making the website spread out over various mediums? By this I mean the episodes themselves that I have seen have not really revealed the relationships between all the characters. They're hinted at, yes, but really in order to find things out, you have to go to the website and read the backstories and such to understand all of what is happening. Was it a preference for a more interactive experience? Or because
I think I got most of that. Okay, I think I got most of that. Joe, did you guys hear that question, or was it broken up too? You heard it all?
No, I mean, I got the gist of it.
You got the gist of it. Okay, good. So did I. Well, Nayari, first of all, you know, with the internet, you really hope to get the emotional content across, even in the short form of 9 and 10 minutes. And I wasn't trying to be mysterious on purpose. I guess that maybe that did come through, and that was a result of the abbreviated format. But you know, I tried to tell a lot of story in a very condensed amount of time. You know, typically in television or film, we have more time to elaborate on relationships, and we have more time to take 44 minutes for a 1-hour episode to deal with a lot of different subject matter and storyline, and we can pause more to play out relationships in more detail, and I wasn't able to do that here, obviously, with a 9-minute episode. I had to get a lot of story in, so I was hoping not to compromise the actual emotions and the relationships. I guess I focused more on certain relationships, and you don't often get to see everybody together interacting. That gives you perhaps a fuller and more comprehensive understanding of how everybody relates to each other, certainly in a group environment. We saw in episode 6, we saw the entire Beck clan together, obviously, for the first time interacting together, and that's rewarding, and it's fun to do those kind of scenes. They take a lot more time, and so story-wise, I wouldn't do that very often. In fact, I did it just the one time, and we'll have another scene later in the series. So I guess that makes it a bit more fragmented as far as wanting to really see everybody interacting together on a more consistent basis. And that may be why you're feeling like you're not getting perhaps as much character relationship development as you'd like. And I'm going to try and do a better job with that next season, for sure. You made a comment about multiple platforms helping that experience, and that does. And we did create the backstories for all the characters, certainly as many as we could, on the website, so that people could go back and read the journals and get a little more insight into the characters and learn more about their histories and where they come from and their relationships with each other and how this all started. And I just thought that would be a fantastic way to augment the story and certainly make it, more of a multi-layered, multi-platform experience, transmedia experience. So that's hopefully I answered your question, Mary. And she said sorry for the easy question. she's laughing. Thank you for that. Good, Nary, and I'll do a better job with bigger sequences with more characters all together, because I know we all love those too, don't we? I mean, Joe, we had that one sequence at the table, at breakfast, and those are always great because you always want to see everybody kind of around interacting with each other. It gives you a much different feel for the show, and I'd like to do more scenes like that in season 2.
Yeah, I think it's. I mean, and I don't want to speak for you, Eric, but it's kind of defined by the format and the fact that it was, the length of the entire story. If this was more of a traditional it was a more traditional, say, television format with 1-hour dramatic episodes, you could focus on each character, and you could show in scenes what their life was like before 1,000 Days. You could see how they interacted or were brought to decisions that they had to make, etc. So, you can't do that in this length of time.
Right. Yeah, it's certainly abbreviated. It's definitely an abbreviated way of telling a story, and that was a challenge too. How much story can I tell in 11 episodes, 9 minutes at a time?
But having that log with the description of each character really does help you. If you really want to get into the story, you can really see it. You can see the family tree, and that's
absolutely great. It is helpful. It helps keep people straight on all the different characters because there are a lot of them. So that was a great question, Nayari. Thank you very much. Appreciate that one. Gerald, I know you're floating around there. Gerald's trying to log back on. I can see it. She's struggling to log on. Gerald, you keep getting dropped out. I have a feeling your internet connection, Gerald, is probably not great, and that's what's happening to you. Does Gerald agree? Gerald, you're on mute, I think. She's nodding her head. She's nodding her head, meaning my internet connection is not good, and I'm struggling.
Now here I am. It wasn't letting me unmute.
Okay.
I have children home today who I keep having to kick off the internet. Is what's happening, and I apologize.
Oh, is that it? Yeah. Why don't you put? Which one is it? Is it Josh?
Yes.
Oh, really?
No, I have my little guy who keeps sneaking on to play League of Legends, which is why I get knocked off.
Jackson, I'm coming over if you don't stop.
I fixed that now. He's tied up.
It's a typical problem. It's a typical problem. I have the same thing. Why is it so slow today? Okay. Who's listening to a podcast?
Oh, you know something? Someone here says that they said, now I understand why the intro music of 10K Days always reminds me a bit of Spartacus.
Oh,
no, boo! Original. Joe, do you have a musical response to that, and anything you want to share with anyone?
Well, I know the answer to that very easily. The logo of the show. There's a vocalist. There's a female vocalist in the show.
Right.
It's the same female vocalist that I used from time to time on Spartacus. We just loved her voice. It's very hard to find female singers who will throw themselves into the idea of that. Okay, we're going to invent a culture. Go. Here's a couple of ideas. Run with it.
Right.
And so when I have a ringer, I stick with them. I think Hans Zimmer's done the same thing.
Absolutely.
It happens. You get your little stable of favorite voices. I know the answer to that very easily.
Someone's got their Facebook on. Gerald, is that you?
There's a female vocalist.
Gerald. Gerald's got to turn her Facebook off. Gerald.
Female vocalist that I used from time to time.
Gerald, you get to hear yourself all over again.
Voice. It's very hard.
Oh, Gerald. Gerald, can you hear me? Gerald's frozen again. Look. See what happens is Gerald watches the Facebook link, guys, and it's got a 45-second delay. And so if she's got it playing, you'll hear that in the background. Well, Joe, would you mind showing people the instrument we used for?
Oh, sure.
The intro?
It's an instrument I like to use to get the feeling of something that might sound like an electric guitar but isn't. There's a very devoted instrument maker in Sylmar, California, who came up with the idea that, Jimmy Page bowed his guitar back in Led Zeppelin. But that has limitations, and the reason it has limitations is because the fingerboard of the guitar isn't arched. So he invented an instrument, and I don't know if you can see. Let me see how I can. Where can I position this here so that you can?
Go back.
There we go. If I go back, and it looks kind of like an electric guitar, but it has a arched fingerboard, if you can see.
Wow.
So that you can bow all the 6 strings.
Oh yeah, it's arched. Okay, so it's like it's the top part of a sphere. It's actually curved.
Yeah, and it still has frets.
Right.
Which is good because I don't have another lifetime to learn how to play this thing in tune. And this is an electric iteration of it. I have actually 3 of these. This is the second. It's an electroacoustic. So it gets its sound more directly from the bridge, and it looks a little bit more like a traditional instrument. It certainly has a traditional.
Yeah, more space between the actual strings and the actual fretboard.
Right. But it has sort of there's a nod to a traditional scroll.
Mm-hmm.
And then I have one that's purely acoustic. So it's size-wise, it's sort of in between a viola and a cello, and I think it's great when you're trying to express some sort of culture that's imaginary, especially that's sort of ancient modern. You know, you've got those things going. So let's see if this works. Let's see if we can get this going.
We may get a treat here, everyone. This could be pretty lovely.
Let me get this all happening here. We'll see how this goes. I'm going to play something that may be familiar to the fans and show how I made the sound.
I can't wait.
Get there fast enough. Let me just make sure it's all happening.
Take your time. It's a hangout.
It's a hangout.
It's a hangout. While Joe's getting ready, Dave, I was going to ask you, what are you working on right now?
I'm working on the new Hercules movie.
The new Hercules movie. And who's directing it?
That I couldn't tell you, actually.
You couldn't or you can't?
I can't.
Okay. Who's
Both, actually.
Is it a studio?
Yes.
Which one? The Rennie Harlan one?
No, there's 2 Hercules movies going on right now.
Right.
And I'm not very well educated in it, actually.
David gets his shots and starts creating.
There's a production company overseeing all the visual effects, and we're just doing a portion of it.
Right.
Yeah, I haven't even.
Here it goes. The creative genius of Joe LoDuca.
Let's see what this sounds like, guys.
All right, we're standing by.
So
He's pulling out a bow.
aha.
That was
That
cool,
was-
Joe. That's it's so interesting to hear that coming out of that instrument when all we're used to, of course, is hearing it from the episode, and now there's this tangible, this tangible experience where we see you actually creating it.
Yeah, that was a little bit right in episode 1, of the first scene on the ledge there of Milo losing. Is it Milo losing his parents?
That's Christo.
Christo losing his parents. Excuse me.
Christo losing the parents.
So
Exactly.
that was just that little bit over that.
Kelly was saying very interesting instrument. They found that very interesting to look at. And it is. It's like you look at it and go, what is that? What is that sounding like? It's and folks hearing it live in a room is pretty extraordinary. Sometimes it would distort a little bit when you were playing, but hearing that in a room with Joe playing it, such a beautiful experience. That's a great instrument. It sounds
it's pretty unique.
It's unique and
It
sounds
is
so
because
interesting.
it's really a hybrid. It's a hybrid, so you can't really put your finger on it.
Yeah.
That's what I love. I love that. What is that sound? When I can do that, that really pleases me as a composer.
What were the sound processes going on?
Well, I've got a little overdrive on it, so it's got a bit of a rock attitude, and certainly some delay on it as well.
Delay, that's it. Yeah.
Yeah, and so it does feel like it's in a cavern kind of a thing.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Somebody
Yes,
said
there are layers. There are layers.
Someone said, it was Nyari says, I think I want this opening theme for my phone ringtone now.
Cool.
And also someone named Hawk says, thank you, Joseph, for sharing the live performance with all of us. And someone else says, wow, whoa, even the initial sounds are cool. Space age awesomeness.
Where do you see?
And then he said, what was it called again, they asked?
Oh, a guitar viol. I'm trying to think of the models. I can't think of the model names. But
And how do you spell that, guitar viol?
viol. It's not V-I-L-E. It's V-I-O-L.
Yeah, V-I-O-L, right?
V-I-O-L.
Guitar
And there's
viol,
more
viol.
ancient versions of it. I mean, it isn't, it was just recreated for an electronic age.
Exactly.
That's really cool.
Somebody asked me if, when I began creating the concept for the series, this is Hawk again, if I was influenced by any personal experiences of my own camping, hunting, survival experiences, and also was I influenced or did you do any research via reality shows, survival shows? No research was done from survival shows like Survivor or anything, but yeah, as a kid, I grew up in Reno for part of my childhood, and so I did some camping and some hunting and fishing and boating. So I did all those type of things, and they certainly played a part in making me aware of how vulnerable you are when you're out in the middle of nowhere. You have a limited supply of food and it's cold. I'd go hunting sometimes for sagehen, and I went with a friend and his dad and a few other guys, and we'd be out there in an old Land Rover, and we'd go way out. I mean, you're in the middle of nowhere, and this is Nevada, and so you had a certain amount of food and water, and storms would come in and blow in, and it would get really cold and snow and ice, and you thought, what if this vehicle gets stuck? We can't get out of here. We only have so much food, and there's who are we going to call? This was before cell phones. I mean, there's no way, and if your CB radio wasn't working well, your battery died, you were pretty much stuck. That was it. So it was definitely interesting. As a kid, I thought, all right, we're out here. This could get weird. And at night it's dark and there's no lights anywhere. I mean, you can't see your hand in front of your face. So I definitely had some experiences like that. Also being on water, we did a lot of sailing, and so we'd go sailing. Same family, and my friend and I and his dad, we'd go on these Trans Tahoe they were basically they were competition. So it was a sailboat race, and it's a 24-hour race all night long and all day long. So you're sailing in the middle of Lake Tahoe, which is a very large body of water, and it's not, at certain points you can't see either direction. A storm would blow in, and you'd be getting knocked around by 6-foot waves, which happens. I mean, on a lake,
wow.
it gets very dangerous, and so you realize, wow, this is pretty dangerous. What if the ship capsizes? Like, what are we gonna? It's pitch black dark, and it's the middle of the night, and there's nobody else around us, and what do you do? How do you survive that? So there were definitely some times where I was afraid, and I thought this could go bad fast, and so maybe some of that influenced my my writing, because I had a certain I understood that kind of visceral fear that bad things can happen, and survival is not guaranteed to anyone, certainly when you're out in the elements. I hope that answers the question.
I have a question for you.
Yes.
Where did you get the idea of blood for electricity?
That came from research. It was actually Mimi Gramacki, the production designer. She was doing a lot of research, and I told her, I said, do a lot of research on the production design. We really want to use factual material and products that are factual. So she was doing research on energy, because part of the batteries will last a long time if you treat them well and you store them properly. Batteries will last decades, and certainly rechargeable ones, decades and decades. So she was thinking about, well, how do you store power? We're going to have a wind turbine. We'll have some solar panels. Obviously, those are the basic things that you can have, and those will last 30, 40 years. Well, how do we store the energy? We'll have batteries, and we can hang them off walls, and they can be hooked up to incandescent light bulbs and different kind of LED lights, and that all makes sense. But what if there was another source of juice? And so she'd done her research, and she said there's these things called these blood lamps, and I said, what is that? So we did the research together on them. We heard about them, and I think we might have even read about them in Wired magazine. And they were fascinating, because as we did the research on them, we discovered this is a real source of energy. I mean, it's yeast that exists, and the yeast exists over the top of some type of, I think it's titanium, a titanium plate. And when you feed the yeast blood, some yeast respond to oxygen, some respond to other things. When you feed it blood, it creates electrons, and the extra electrons that get dropped off get picked up by the metal plate underneath and transferred into electrical energy, and that makes the blood lamp glow. Bizarre. And the yeast will live forever. I mean, yeast, if you feed it, it's like dough yeast. You feed your yeast, right? And you have it on the sill, and then you stir it, and you drain it down, and you keep cultivating it, and the stuff will last a long time. So that's where that came from. Good question, Joe, and fascinating.
It's cool. It was so cool, I had to do a musical sound for it.
That's right. Oh, we should. Oh, I was going to say I could pull that up, but I don't have that.
Blood lamp sound.
The blood lamp sound. It's and everyone loves that. People talk about that forever. People who watch the episode get comments all the time.
Yeah, it's
blood
more unique than the potato electrical. Or
yeah. The potato electrical creating it. It's very true. I'm trying to think. See if we have any more questions here.
There's one in National Geographic with an orange.
With an orange?
And they took a photograph of it, a long exposure photograph, and you can see the energy in the orange or something like that. Yeah, it's pretty trippy.
I love it. Someone said batteries they think last longer in the cold. That was Gerda. Gerda, you're right. Dry. It's got to be dry, too. Dry and cold batteries last a long time. Let's see what else we've got here.
Where are you seeing all the comments?
I've seen them on Facebook. If you go to our Facebook page and click on the 10K Live link, people can watch the Google Hangout on Facebook.
Okay.
And that's for people that don't have Google Plus accounts.
Gotcha. Okay.
Right. So if they don't want to go through Google, they can just click it right off the Facebook page. So there's a comment section in there. So I'm actually looking to see what else we've got comment-wise, because Gerald dropped off the planet because her son's probably just hogging bandwidth right now playing some video game. Let's see, last line of the call. Let's see what else we got here. We got a lot of awesome comments, Joe, on your playing, of course. Let's see. Somebody commented on my sailing experience. They said, what an incredible experience sailing in that kind of condition. Very exciting, and I agree. Yeah, definitely a threatening environment that will stick with you, and it was. You know, it's funny, when I had that experience, there was one point where they were like, you use a spinnaker when the wind's coming from behind, and so I remember in this storm, we had a lot of wind coming from behind, and we had to head in that direction, so we were trying to put the spinnaker up. Either that or it was the storm sail, but they both kind of do a similar thing, and we had to put it up in the dark, and I'm out there with my life vest on, and you hit a wave, and your whole body goes in the opposite direction. And I remember hitting my head on the mast pretty hard, and you know, and you're just trying to hang on, because what you don't want is to be ejected off the boat in the middle of the dark. And I was 14 or 15 years old, and this father, you know, we were out there. He was like, "All right, we got to get this thing up," you know. And I mean, can you imagine parents today? Damn, you want to go where and do what, and risk permanent injury and possible death? Sign this release. Let's see what else we got here. Eric, don't know what's wrong with my connection. Trying to get back in. I know what's wrong with your connection, Gerald. It's your son. Blood activity. The idea of here she is. She's back. Son's being used. Just not something I've ever seen. Eric, are you thinking outside the box? And for the future, I think. Yeah, good. Let's see what else we got here. Oh, good. Everyone's weighing in on the batteries. I love it.
Yeah, I have another glacier. Actually, I just remembered it because you were talking about water and boating. But we were up at the in the Sequoia National Park, and there's a hike there. It's either called, I think it's called Three Lakes hike or something like that.
Yeah.
And you climb up higher and higher and higher, and you come across 3 small lakes. Well, the second lake that we were at had it was there's landscape on one side and a rock, but on the far side was against a mountain, so there's a huge sheet of ice, like a small glacier, that just dipped into the whole lake, and of course the lake water was freezing cold. But the lake wasn't that big; you could swim across it, so we were just like, it was very hot, you know. So we were like, all right, let's jump in the water. Well, none of my brothers would jump in, but I said, I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna dive off this rock and just shoot across there as fast as I can, and then climb up on the ice and we'll walk back. And they're like, no, you're not gonna do it. So I jumped in there, and as soon as I hit that water, it just it knocks the air out of you. You know?
You can't breathe.
I just swimming across as fast as I can. I get halfway, and all my muscles are like practically spasming, you know, and I just stopped swimming, and I'm just in a dog paddle position, and all I could do is just laugh my butt off. But I was laughing, but I was also in fear, because it was too far to go to any point in the lake. I was right dead in the middle of it. And I'm like, what the heck am I going to do now? I can't move hardly. I'm just laughing, breathing so hard, and I'm like, all right, I just got to relax. And I just finally got myself relaxed, even though I'm freezing. Just relax, and okay. Then I was able to just kind of easily just, you know.
Did you swim back, or did you go to the ice?
Yeah. No, I went to a side position, but I got back up on the.
You know, people forget that you can actually drown. Because your body goes into hypothermia, and your muscles will just lock up on you.
Oh yeah, I was there. I was almost there. Yeah.
People drown. They start head out for a swim, and
no one was going to swim out there and get me. There was.
That's not very nice.
5 people I could see.
Oh gosh, they're not going to come out and get you.
Yeah, I just cracked myself up though. I was like, what the heck am I doing out here?
I'm trying to see what we got here now. Actually, when I try to come in on Google Hangout video, I don't think you'll see it. It's like come to Facebook. Okay, good. Well, people are on. A lot of people are on the Facebook page as well. Hey, can you see Gerald? Gerald's back with us. Gerald, can you see how many people are watching on Facebook? Does it tell you that? Gerald's perpetually frozen.
No, but it tells me how many people are watching on Google.
Gerald, can you see? But you can't tell on Facebook. Because it's so funny, because I think more people watch on Facebook simply because it's a lot easier, certainly from the comments I can see.
Hopefully.
It's just an easier access.
Let's talk about.
Hopefully. Hey, you know what I was going to say? What might be fun too on one of these future hangouts, Gerald, is there a way to get in picture? So if we wanted to, for instance, like we'll say Joe wanted to play a portion of one of the episodes because he said, "Oh, like I want you to hear and see that piece of music I wrote for the Blood Lamps." He could literally just queue up and play off his laptop that section of the movie, or if I wanted to show a section of the movie for visual effects, I could literally just play it and it would show it in a window. Because I know they do it sometimes in some of these other broadcasts, certainly on YouTube.
Yes.
Yeah, you can figure that one out?
It's called share screen. We can share the screen. We can set it up so he can share the screen with us.
I love that, because that would be a lot of fun, because then I can queue up some video and I could say, hey, check out some new video, check out some, even like storyboard frames. I can say, you want to see some storyboard frames that we gave to, to David, and he had to work off these to create some visual effects, and I can just play it. Or I could play a portion of the visual effects behind the scenes episode, and that would be a lot of fun for people.
Yes.
Next week. All right, we'll look into that. That'll be fun. All right, that's cute. That's a good way to share stuff. I like it. I don't see any other questions here for anyone else in particular. There's one question, except for me, of course. There's one question. Someone said, of all the ideas you might be thinking about, often you have more than one in your head, and I'm paraphrasing here. How did you pick this one to work on, and what made it special? And I've answered this before, and I'll say it again here, which is we were on strike, Writers Guild strike in 2008, and I thought this was a feature film idea, but what an interesting idea to kind of chop it up and turn it into a series. And that's why I focused on 10,000 Days as a web series in particular, and that's why I made that the subject, because it kind of lent itself, in my opinion, to short form content, because it's genre and there's a shorthand to that conversation story wise, and it works well in 9 and 10 minute chunks when you're dealing with action and adventure and that particular genre, because it fits the model that works well in film and television. In film, when you're writing action, you always try and escalate the action up over 9 or 10 minutes in a sequence or a series of sequences, and then you reach a certain climax, and you dip back down, and then you build up again. And so that kind of fits that model really cleanly, and it works modularly. So I said, well, this will work perfect. Let's do something like this, and that's why I picked 10,000 Days. And it would be a lot of fun, and we could shoot it on a stage, and not have to go to the ice.
Yeah, I don't like.
As long as you got a guy like Dave Ebner hanging out here.
I like warm weather.
It's also a great discipline. I mean, it's amazing that you have constructed it this way so cleanly, and it can work this well. I mean, obviously it's by design, because, I mean, as you know, we watch some of our favorite series nowadays, and there is absolutely no thought of where the commercial break goes. There's no cliffhangers. There's no cliffhangers in Mad Men. It's just sort of, it's mid-sentence, mid-scene, mid-shot.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. I've noticed that because I watched Mad Men at first on Netflix, and so I caught up, Joe, and so I just watched it, with no breaks, so it all made sense. It was great. Then once I was caught up and I started watching the show live, then I started seeing it with the commercial breaks, and I was like, what? You can't cut to a commercial here. Kind of things are still happening. There's no natural climax here. I'm like, what's going on? And then they come back and it's completely haphazard.
Yeah.
Or maybe it felt haphazard to me.
A lot of people.
To a lot of people is right. We won't overextend our welcome here on the Hangout. I thought we might put it out to the fans one more time and the viewers. Any last questions, guys? Post them now. We're going to probably finish up in the next 5 to 10 minutes because I know Joe's got some music to write, and David's got some visual effects to create. I'm not sure what I'm going to be doing.
Renee has a question. Renee has a question for Eric.
What you got?
Are there any plans to release this as a DVD or digital download once all the episodes have aired?
Yeah, absolutely. Once all the episodes have aired, it's going to be available, whether it's on iTunes or where that's going to happen. It'll be available as a digital download. It'll also be available in a couple different versions. It'll be available as episodes, and then we've also got a feature film version, which is the complete season cut as a feature film, and we did that as well, and it played very nicely. So you'll have it either way. Whether there's a DVD or not is yet to be seen, because selling DVDs these days is a little more complex. That market has disappeared, unfortunately. Unless you're a huge tentpole movie from the studios. If it's Lord of the Rings, you can sell DVDs because you can deliver 20,000 to Walmart and they'll sell them. It's a little harder with more of an independent project. So we'll see. But we can also do an Amazon thing where you can, they print them up as you go. We'll see. So that's the plan as far as release digitally or DVD.
Thank you.
Good. What else we got?
Everybody's just happy.
Everybody's happy. Well, I'll be happy when we have a commitment for a second season. That's when I'll be happy. So everyone's doing a great job of spreading the word and keeping the energy up and the excitement up for the series, and that's super important. And I'll say that here. Please continue to share and continue to direct people to MetaCafe and have them subscribe, because that's an important thing. Views are important, but subscriptions are really important, because that shows a commitment from the fans and from all of you that you're willing to be a subscriber and receive emails and notices of additional material and content or upcoming events, or certainly the new episodes. And that's super important. They look at all that stuff and it's weighted heavily. And also we wanted to apologize to everybody for the miscue on the MetaCafe skin last week, where it said season finale. Episode 6 season finale. You were as surprised as I was. We got to that and I thought, season finale? We have another half of the season to deliver. And so I think they're going to make a notice of that, if not today or this weekend, it'll be next weekend on Skin, that'll say, second half of season 1, coming now. And certainly episode 7 is the beginning of the second half of season 1. So it's already begun. So spread the word that, it's not a season finale.
It was really a mid-season finale.
It was a mid-season finale. Mid-season finale, followed by the second half of season 1, which has begun today. So, and by the way, what's amazing, guys, is literally this morning I went online just to see how things are going, and I always check, and it was 6 o'clock in the morning, and there was no mention of the new episode on the homepage or anything yet. But if you go to our channel on MetaCafe, you click on the little 10K symbol, and it takes you to our channel, and already episode 7 was preloaded, because they do that. They preload them up before they put it on the home page. And we'd already had like 2,500 views by 6 a.m. this morning. And I think they only put it on they just put it on 20 minutes beforehand. So what's great about that is it means that we have a lot of folks going to MetaCafe, and a lot of folks that are just MetaCafe users that go there for their content that are looking for it, because you can't find it when they first load it up unless you actually go to the channel and seek it out. So that was really exciting to see this morning that we were already up to 2,500 views within 20 or 30 minutes when they just put it on our channel and nobody even knew yet. So let's keep that great viewership up, and these kind of things are great,
Eric, can I interject? Can I interject for 1 second, Eric?
Yeah.
Everybody, you're doing such a great job, but please continue to engage with us on Facebook. If you see us post, even if you just click like, that shows your friends what you're talking to, who you're talking to, and may bring more of your friends to us. And also, please follow us on Twitter at 10K Days TV, and we will engage you. So if you have a question during the week, you don't really have to wait till Friday. I'll get you the answer.
That's right. Cheryl will get answers. She makes me answer questions.
I call him all the time.
That's awesome. And we'll pass questions along to anyone else. David and Joe, we'll get questions to them. Any questions we have for anybody, any of the actors, we pass them along. We pull them in. Next week we'll pull them into the Hangout, and we'll make sure they answer your questions. And if there's any special things you want to see from any of the actors, if there's something in particular you want to know, or even about the other shows they've been on. If you say, John, I'd love to see, that prop.
Kathy's here.
I'd like to see that prop from Dukes of Hazzard, John, I'm sure would find that hilarious and would dig around and try and find something. And I think what we should do too, Gerald, is maybe as we head toward the finale of season 1, we do some giveaways with some of our fun, great, swag. We
have swag.
We got our hats. We've got our shirts. We've got posters, and I think that would be fun to do, so we can do things like that as well.
Okay.
Yeah. Guys.
We'll do that.
Great hanging with y'all.
I know. Joseph, thank you so much for coming and hanging with us from your home.
Yeah, you too. Good to see you again. Yeah.
And David, great to see you. It's fun to see each other and not just be voices on the phone.
Yeah.
And I'm just thinking about 2,500 viewers at earlier than 6 in the morning. That's a lot. Last night there was a streaming thing that I saw. It was there was a rocket launch here at Vandenberg.
Oh,
and,
really?
Yeah, it shot off about 11:30, I think it was. And they did something cool where they streamed it. So they had about 3 different camera angles, and you can watch it up close. And then when we started watching it take off, we stepped outside the building and then watched it for real, But I can imagine that. I don't think 2,500 people were watching that online.
But they were watching 10,000 days.
Yeah, I know it.
That's
They
right.
were.
Well, we're going to be answering questions all day long from Facebook.
That's really cool.
Or to the other folks, and we go to the MetaCafe page as well, and we get comments there, and we answer those too. So it's a lot of fun to see what people think. But it is an action-packed episode. Finally, people are fighting. People are getting together and throwing punches and using their staffs and getting wild, right?
Yeah, that's true.
More of that. Well, looking forward to...
And this broadcast is also available either on Facebook or on our YouTube channel, YouTube channel, all week.
Awesome.
Excellent. And by the way, next week we'll have Peter on, and he can answer James's question. He said James would still love an answer from Peter about the opinion of the Highlander, the Source movie. I'm curious about that too. So
you hang in there, James. We'll get you that answer, James.
We'll get you that answer. Joe, thanks for tuning in. David, thanks for tuning in.
Yeah, you bet.
You guys click off, and we'll see you soon.
All right, guys. Thanks.
Bye, guys.
Bye. Bye, Joe. Dave, we'll talk to you soon.
Yeah,
bye, Dave.
See you later.
And I'm going to give my sign off now, Gerald.
Okay, you go. Have a good weekend, everybody.
Yeah, Gerald, I'll talk to you soon. Folks, thanks for showing up. Thanks for listening. And we'll see you all next week. And, share with your friends. Have them show up as well. Share everything with them, because we'd love to see some new faces out, too. We got a few new ones today, and we're looking forward to some new fans showing up on the Hangout next week. Bye, y'all, till next week from 10,000 Days.
Hey.
Bye.